Monday, everybody, and welcome back to the Couchside Judges. I'm Scott Fontana. Follow me on Twitter at Scott_Fontana.
And I'm Dan Urban. Follow me at the Dan Urban. Follow the podcast at Couchside Judges and subscribe to us wherever you listen.
And usually I tell you to give us a 5-star review, but how about you subscribe to our YouTube channel?
That would be pretty nice. And as always, we talk judging MMA. Head on over to... It sounds very echoey in here.
It is a little echoey in here. We're gonna have a little bit of an echo-prone show this time. We were trying something in a different room today. May not work out so well, but
It threw me off.
that's all right. We'll get through it.
As I was saying, make sure you read the criteria because that's what we're going to talk about.
Google it. You'll find it. It's not that hard. You ever use the Google friends out there?
Yeah,
Try the Google. It'll help you.
Yeah.
You call it the Google? Do you know anyone who calls it the Google, actually?
I call it the Lugal.
No, you don't.
The Lugal.
It's no Sam, was it Henderson or...
Wait, what? Sam Hermanson.
Sam Hermanson. Dad butchered the hell out of one of the Bellator fighters when we were watching the fights before. And, well, I hate to break it to everybody, but there is no Sam Hermanson?
Hermanson, yeah.
Not that we're aware of, at least not on the Bellator.
I wasn't
roster.
far off.
You were very far off.
Okay.
I'll tell you this. You got the fact that there were letters in the alphabet in the name. I'm very proud of you for that.
They rhymed.
In some ways. It's kind of a slight rhyme. But anyway, no one cares about that. We actually have a good amount of stuff to kind of get through. Got 2 events that we're going over because there was Bellator 293 over the weekend. There was PFL number 1 of this year over the weekend. We're not getting into all the other stuff. We're not getting into Fight Circus. We're not getting into the boxing or the game bred boxing or any of that stuff. That's somewhere else. We're on the judging from Bellator and PFL. Before we dive into that, though, we just kind of cover a little bit from each of the cards here. Not a big consequential weekend for either promotion, I don't think. I mean, obviously it was the start of PFL, and in theory, all these things matter, but also, it's not the playoffs yet.
Not yet.
But before we do that, even before we get to PFL, Bellator, the one thing I really wanted to talk about here is the simple fact of we had a fight in the co-main, Zingano against Leah McCourt. And on paper, this looked like a much more interesting fight to make a 5-round fight if you had to pick one of them to go 5 rounds than random heavyweight fight between Bellator heavyweights Marcelo Golm and Daniel James. Because, frankly, no heavyweight fight really should be 5 rounds except for, like, a title fight.
Yeah, this was silly.
This was a weird one to put in the top. And it played out exactly that way. So we had I thought at least a fun fight between Zingano and Leah McCourt.
It was heating up.
Yeah.
2 more rounds would have been great if she was allowed to fight for 2 more rounds, but
and it's easy. It's an easy thing to say in hindsight, but like again, on paper, I think we probably could have said, "Hey, how about we trade?" even before this, right?
I think if it's like, okay, these are heavyweights, so let's expect them to have terrible cardio. The second half of round 2 through the end of the fight is going to be pretty labored. So why don't we get Zingano and McCourt, who can probably go 5 rounds and not gas that hard. So that's where I would make the booking.
Also, every heavyweight fight should be 1 round, as we know. That is the right answer. I don't care what you think out there, dear listener. You're wrong if you think anything different than me.
Is there a way to
measure? At least on this.
Is there a way to measure cardio?
Measure it?
Yeah.
No. Not that I'm sure there's metrics for like lung capacity and that kind of thing, but I don't know.
They should be like, all right, listen, this isn't happening. We can't have just a slog main event.
I think you can kind of just look at a heavyweight and say, nope, 5 rounds isn't worth it.
Sometimes, yeah, but then you look at a guy like Cain Velasquez, who looks pretty soft, and then the guy will run a marathon.
Right. But, we've got body of work from these other guys saying, maybe 5 rounds isn't it. It's just not right. But, yeah, so.
And you had name power, Zingano and McCourt there. If you just... as your main event.
I would think at the very least Zingano has the most name recognition of anyone on this card did. So that was a little weird to go the route they did there. I don't really get it. It was a very strange decision by Bellator. This was obviously I don't think Bellator treats any of their cards as throwaways. I think they do care about all of them, but this was a weird card because there really just wasn't a whole lot of sizzle to it. And again, I think they picked the wrong main event. Very strange. But at least there was a ton of finishes, including the weird main event, which ended in round 3, about 6 minutes after it really should have. But we got it anyway, I guess. Right?
Delayed,
but we got there. Does not justify it. 1 round heavyweight fights. It's the only way. This is the way.
This is the way. I agree with Scott on this.
There you go. And then over to PFL. I don't want to go too deep into the events of it because honestly, this was a decision fest too. And by the way, do you think, because I kind of posited this, do you think Bellator should, or not Bellator, PFL, do you think PFL should try to go kind of a UFC style route where they have, bonuses, that kind of thing for, let's say fighters who get a finish kind of, or maybe even are thrown into a pool that they can win extra money if they get the finishes to kind of promote the idea of trying to chase something rather than just get those. I know why they're doing it. They're trying to save themselves the playoffs, but it definitely leads to a lot more boring fights.
They do have that bonus for finishes, point-wise, but not money-wise.
Yeah, the money is different.
I guess it's showing that extra points isn't the motivating factor. Money probably would be a help.
I think so. But the funny thing is, too, is, I've talked about this before. If you get a first or even a second round finish, you're almost definitely going to advance into the PFL playoffs. Once you get to 6 points, you're in.
Yeah, but then they can come back and say, well, you should be chasing those point bonuses because in the playoffs, then you just have to win, and the winner gets $1 million.
Yeah, I would think if anything, the other way, should be the other way around. You should be trying to get the finishes in the first few events, and then once you get to the playoffs, it's like, okay, I kind of understand it. It's about win by any means necessary, right?
And stay healthy, injury-free.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Just make it to the final.
But yeah, I mean, I think if you added some sort of monetary thing, and I think UFC should actually do this too, I think. There should be some sort of award for fight of the year, submission of the year, knockout, or performance of the year, whatever you want to call it. There should be a monetary award for that as well. Maybe it's like even the UFC could afford to do this. Imagine they did.
Well, they used to do it on Tough. The finish of the season, we get extra money.
No, forget that. I'm talking about when we're giving out year-end awards and that kind of thing. If we've got KO of the year, submission of the year, fight of the year, UFC can afford to give out $500,000 to each of those.
Yeah,
$500,000. 10 times the normal fight night bonus. That would be something. But PFL should be able to do something too. I mean, even if they gave $100,000 for something like that, at least you've got the idea that, hey, maybe there's a reason you can fight towards something, even when you're kind of out of the playoff picture. I would like to see that. You want to limit it to the people who are only in the regular season? Fine. I'm good with that too. Whatever. But I think that would be neat.
Allow elbows.
I mean, definitely in the playoffs, or at least in the final. Everything should go in the final. It should be real MMA then. This is not true MMA. It is, but it's not.
Exhibition bouts.
I could go on and on about that.
Imagine Jim Miller. Jim Miller would get fined and suspended, points taken left and right if he fought in PFL.
I feel like he probably would just follow the rule.
You don't know. You flip a switch, you just see red.
I don't know,
He knows one speed, and that's just blast elbows.
He's a man with a brain. He knows how to use it.
Yeah, but it's
instinct.
Instinct. Just takes over.
No, he can do it. But what I wanted to ask you about, though, because we watched some of the PFL together. I know you missed a lot of it. I had it on. I watched everything. You and I just kind of watched most of the rounds we needed to watch. But for PFL, there were some tweaks to the presentation. There's a less busy, graphic overlay. It definitely didn't have like a billion things all over the place before, and bells and whistles and all that crap that nobody really seemed to want except for these quote-unquote younger generation people that PFL believed they were recording. That is now much more minimized. And now FPR is finally gone, sir. But it remains in the form of computerized scoring.
Or in other words, just stats.
It's just a bunch of numbers. They called it the algorithm at some point.
Like,
yeah. At least we don't hear FPR every few seconds, but because that's such a stupid thing. But
hopefully, also Sean O'Connell remains seated for the entire fight card.
Yes, you do have a lot of beef with Sean O'Connell's his propensity to stand up while he's calling the fights.
It's annoying.
You should fight him for it.
You know what?
Challenge
I would
him for that. He's got to put the $1 million that he won on the line too.
I would fight him over this.
Yeah,
I wouldn't win.
No, you wouldn't.
But I would. I'm standing up for what
you would stand up for what's right.
For what's right.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Now, I think we can all respect that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're a man of principle. We've all known that.
Just because you didn't have to pay for your seat, Sean, doesn't mean the people behind you that did pay for it don't deserve to watch
No,
it.
yeah,
Like,
he gets paid for it.
and he gets paid for it. Just sit down.
He gets paid
You're
for
cage
the,
side.
he gets
You don't
paid
need
for the
to
seat.
stand.
He gets paid for the seat, and he doesn't even use it.
You know what? Someone should pull it out from him when he goes and sit down next time and he falls.
Maybe they could sell that seat to somebody else.
That would be fun.
What did you think though of the different presentations, especially the way it looked on
It
screen?
wasn't as distracting.
I thought it was much less distracting. I thought it looked a lot cleaner. You remarked that you didn't love the clock though.
No. I didn't mind the clock. I hated the clock in between rounds. They're like, oh, they got 1 minute, and when we know they don't actually have 1 minute. It might be longer than a minute.
It is less, yeah.
So,
well, it's less, but it also goes longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. MMA is a little strange with that. Boxing is a little more rigid with like that minute between rounds. MMA is kind of like a minute-ish.
Yeah.
But if you spill some water on the ground, maybe we can delay it a little longer. Yeah, something like that. Oh, sorry, we can't get the stool out in time.
Well, you were sitting on it.
No. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me go back and get it.
Or you spill some ice, so
there you go.
All over the place.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you will. He'll be back in action soon for Bellator, actually. But speaking of Bellator, to go over the judging from the weekend, the two cards that we're going to be talking about, Bellator 293. A lot of finishes, 11 finishes, I believe I said. 19 rounds were scored. So, a lower percentage considering the fact there was tons of fights. I think it was like 15 fights, 16 fights. 19 rounds scored. 13 of them were unanimous, and none of them were an 8-9 split. But the unanimous percentage was actually 68.4, just a little under that kind of typical average. So it's much closer to what I think would be the ideal from what we'd seen in recent weeks. Of course, it was more in the 50s lately. Like we said, these things tend to balance out. PFL brought it up way more because Bellator was in California, I should mention. PFL was in Nevada, and this had 22 out of 26 scores unanimous. It was just decisions left and right at PFL. But those Nevada judges, they were on point. Only one of these was an 8-9 split. So
yeah, and like you said, brings the average up 35 or 45 for the weekend.
Yeah.
77.7.
And the PFL one itself was 84.6. So really, really good. Yeah, it was good judging on the whole. You know what the key link between the two of them was?
Mike Bell.
Judging both.
Getting it done.
Can't stop, won't stop. We will hear Mike Bell's name a few times actually on a few of these rounds because, like I said, volume. We should start with Bellator first, though. I think they had I think at least the most interesting fight to talk about too, which we already mentioned for two contested rounds. Zingano got the win over Leah McCourt. Unanimous decision 29-28 and a 30-27. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, round one, she's landing good on the feet. Zingano. His leg kicks I thought were pretty solid. Good knees in the clinch. I thought McCourt is clinching against the cage and landing some decent knees of herself. Doesn't sound like that came out right. Might have. It's late. McCourt.
There's also an echo.
McCourt did well landing her good knees of her own, I should say, not of herself.
There you go. I knew you get
Zingano lands a nice back elbow that swells up the eye of McCourt. McCourt drags it down to the ground, but Zingano sneaks around, takes the back. I think Zingano gets this round.
I also think so. I think it's there's a lot of missed opportunities in this fight, I think, for Leah McCourt. This is a type of fight that realistically you could see pathways that it just a little difference here and there, and McCourt might win a unanimous decision even all 3 rounds, but it did not go that way. So I ended up going Zingano too. I can get where you would get to Leah McCourt here from Mike Bell. He's the one who actually gave this round to McCourt. You and I saw it the same way, again, for Zingano, as Chris Crail and Felicia O. So, yeah, close round. I think it actually gets more fun, the fight, as it goes on from here. I think rounds 2 and 3 are more interesting. Round 2 ended up being a unanimous Zingano round, even though that started out looking like a Leah McCourt round. Did not stay that way. Round 3, though, we're split again. So what's going on here?
Yeah, I mean, it's all McCourt early. She gets a takedown. She's moving to the back, moving to mount, landing punches. She's in that little, kind of almost around the back where Zingano's hiding her head, and she's landing these elbows. I think they're pretty good elbows. And then decides, I'm just going to punch the back of your head. Frank Tritt says, hey.
Yeah, that's against the rules.
He says, hey, knock it off. That's your last warning. We're going to start on the feet. Court says, I'm sorry. And then throws Zingano back on the mat. Gets mount, lands some punches, and then Zingano reverses, gets on top, and she has a lot of ground to make up here. She's landed some punches from inside the guard of McCourt. McCourt's scrambling to get back to her feet, and during the scramble, she eats a knee straight to the face, busts her wide open.
Right, like in the forehead kind of area.
The thing is, it doesn't stop her from throwing Zingano back on the ground and taking her back. The cut is huge. Makes up a ton of that ground that Zingano had to make up. Good damage. I still think McCourt ends up in the better spot here. Wins the round. It's tough to score. Very close.
I respect that. I can totally respect how you would still give this to McCourt despite the knee. I ended up going all the way over to Zingano here for the knee mostly. I think it made up a lot of that ground because I don't know how significantly McCourt's offense was compared to, again, the size of that knee, you know? It's sizable, but it doesn't really, I don't think it rose to the point where it's like, well, this is going to be hard to overcome kind of deal. Like sometimes a strike can't win it, you know, even the best strike of the round. I did end up going there. I think Zingano has at least a little bit of offense in the, you know, here and there in this round, very rarely. But I think that knee really did do it for me. So I sided with Zingano here. Same as judges Bell and O. You sided with Chris Crail.
Mm-hmm.
Close fight, fun fight. Would have been great to get 2 more rounds.
Well, who knows if it would, like I said earlier, who knows if she would have been able to go to the 4th round.
That's a good question.
With that cut.
Mm-hmm. I think she'd probably be able to trot out. You'd probably be able to close it up. It was on the forehead, right? It wasn't quite like it. They've got. What do you mean by that?
I mean, Oh no, they stopped the RoboCop fight.
Yeah.
The Song Yadong fight.
That's right. That one went a long time. Yeah. Did not like that one, but unfortunately, we didn't get 2 more rounds of that because of I guess poor planning, I would say.
Yeah, that's on Bellator.
It is. But again, I think they put together actually an entertaining show on the whole. We will, however, move on to our next fight of the night, which was on the prelims. Jeff Creighton getting an upset win over Joey Davis, who was like a massive favorite. He was like somewhere in like the minus 1800 range, I think. Dan.
Really?
Yeah, it was a huge thing. I forget, but it was a large favorite here for Joey Davis. Former standout college wrestler.
Okay.
I think that plays out when we see the fight, right? But yeah, Creighton wins the split decision. 29-28 all around. Round 2 is where we are split. So what's happening in round 2?
Yeah, on the feet, it seems like Creighton is landing better punches and kicks to the body. Davis does get a takedown and holds on. I think he lands a punch before getting stood up. They're on the ground for a while, not doing much at all. Then once they're stood up, they hang out against the fence a bit. No one's really landing anything. Davis drags Creighton down. Creighton scrambles to land some elbows to the body in this scramble. Pretty low output round, grappling with no offense that contributes towards ending a fight. 10-9 Creighton.
Yeah, I have 10-9 Creighton here as well. There's just not a whole lot of urgency on Davis' part in this round. I have trouble seeing what effect he put upon Creighton here. How effective was his offense?
Yeah, I don't think it was very effective at all.
I agree. Not in love with the score. I do think rightfully we do have the right winner here in Jeff Creighton. Sean Dallas Hall and Mike Bell were on the same side as you and me. It was Chris Crail who was in the minority here, seeing it for Davis. Yeah, I disagree.
Me too.
Don't love it, but I don't know. Maybe things look a little different from there. I will say it's not like it was a massive amount of offense going on in the round. Entirely.
There wasn't much going on.
It's
a low output round.
It's a low output round. These are the type of things that it's much easier to get past, right?
Yeah, I'm not. Whatever.
It's yeah. I don't know. I guess I'm just more mad that this round happened that way. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
The score's okay. It's just whatever.
We weren't in Nevada, right? We were in California.
This was California,
yeah,
correct? Yeah.
So when I was talking about Nevada the last.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
I messed that up.
You did. It's late, like you mentioned. We're doing this very late.
Whatever.
Usually, I'm the one who's tired and kind of you gotta drag me over the finish line. But this time, I'm taking you with me.
WrestleMania is wearing me out.
Well, it's 2 days. Isn't next year going to be 3 days? Or next year, the way after will be a week?
No, they just found out they can sell out a stadium back-to-back nights. And they're like, we're going to do that. Double our gate, basically.
Mm-hmm. Well, I get it. Money has to be made.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. But, it's not the worst score. I think I'm more just mad that the round went this way. And that I don't love Davis basically just not fighting. Like he was really just wrestling.
Yeah.
But yeah, low output round like this, it's hard to get.
It kind of felt like his goal was to get the takedown, and once he got it there, okay, I'm just gonna stay here. What I already got my goal.
Yeah,
there's nothing more to do. It's kind of what it felt like.
And that's not typically what'll win around. But again, if there's not a whole lot happening each way, yeah, I get it for sure. Begrudgingly accept it, and we'll move on. But the next fight we have is Randy Field, who got the win over Ashley Cummins. Unanimous decision, 29-28 twice, and a 30-27. Round 1 is where we're split. What's going down?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty even on the feet. The camera angle is awful. That's kind of shaky. It doesn't really look like either are landing great. I think Cummins gets a takedown. Fields lands some shots from the bottom. I don't think they're all that strong or effective. She does attack the omoplata, which I'm a big fan of. Unfortunately for her, Cummins defended well, stepped over, and I thought she landed some good shots to the body here. I don't think either fighter really stood out or put a stamp on the round one way or the other. I see a case both ways, but I'm on Cummins 10-9.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. It's not a round where either one did something where you're like, hey, look at that. At least they kind of started to separate themselves a little bit. It was like kind of even-ish in both facets. It was like you said, even on the feet. And then it was sort of even once it got to the ground. I think less because of the strikes that Fields trying to get from the bottom, because those don't really do a whole lot typically. Sometimes they do, but here not really. But I thought at least her trying to go for those submissions was a little bit. Then you got Cummins landing the elbows. I get it. It's arguments either way. I did side with Field here, though. So I saw it the same way as Salim Hanif. You saw it the same way as Chris Leben.
Is it Leben?
Leben. Chris Leben and Mark Davidson.
They honestly, when they say Judge Leben, they should say Judge Crippler. That's what they have to. That's what they have to say.
That would be great. By the way, do you know that Chris Leben was a part of the first 5-round non-title main event in UFC history?
Who do you fight in that?
Do you remember? I'll give you one guess. Give it a try.
Tell me this. Give me one more hint. Is it he gets 2 wins in 14 days?
Chris
Is it one
Leben
of those
did.
fiits? Yeah.
No.
It's not one of those.
No, it was not one of those.
Then I have no clue.
Okay. Mark
Chris
Munoz.
Lytle.
No, it's Mark Munoz.
Okay.
I like how you got it in there. It was wrong, but you tried.
Yeah.
That was really good. I was in Vegas for that one, actually.
Okay.
So I remember, I think I bet that fight.
If you're in Vegas, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, I bet that. And I think I didn't bet that fight. You know what I bet? It was the co-main of that event. And it was, I want to say, Brad Pickett against Henan Barao. I did not bet Henan Barao, so I did not win. I was like, because this was, you got to remember, this was pre-Barao winning the belt. He hadn't quite gotten to that point.
Still making weight.
He had this big puffy record. It was like, well, who did he beat for it? You know, it was a lot of it was on, you know, I would say his record was more impressive than the opponent's of quality. And I had thought Pickett could probably get the job done. I was wrong.
All right.
No, moral of the story is I was wrong. And then, you know, Barao had a pretty solid career before it completely tailed off. And it just so happened that it was around the same time as USADA came into the mix. I don't know why that would have happened, but
TJ Dillashaw showed up.
Well, TJ Dillashaw showed up, and well, he also knows some things about USADA, doesn't he? If you knew better, it wouldn't have happened. Anyway, let's move on to the next fight here. Only 2 more to go on Bellator, and this one's Adam Piccolotti getting the win over Mandel Nallo via 3rd round rear naked choke submission. This is a comeback as well, because he was going to lose on the cards if he hadn't gotten that submission. Maybe it's a draw. Maybe he had a big round in the 3rd round. I didn't really score the 3rd round, so I don't want to say definitively, but round 1 is actually where we are split here. So let's dig into this one.
Yeah, on the feet, Piccolotti's landing cleaner, more effective shots. Nallo is landing head kicks that are mostly blocked and not really showing that much effect. And, you know, sometimes it doesn't matter that it's blocked. You can still see clear effect from it. We've seen guys get rocked when they, you know, eat mostly gloves.
It can happen, sure.
So I think the kicks to the body from Nallo are what are actually pretty decent. The straight, you know, teep kicks. Does have a couple decent counters, but once Piccolotti gets it on the ground, he's on the back in the body triangle, landing good punches, winning every transition, keeping Nallo completely defensive. I struggle to see a score for Nallo, so I'm 10-9 Piccolotti.
Yeah, I have a hard time with this one too, man. I think Piccolotti, I would say it's closer on the feet than you had described it, at least in my opinion. I thought it was a little bit more competitive there. Probably edged it to Piccolotti.
Okay.
But yeah, once it gets down, I mean, man, Piccolotti's doing some good work down there.
He did real good work.
There's
There's one time he's just teeing off for a minute. Not a minute, but like a whole spurt.
I think it's to the point, the groundwork especially, that Nala would have had to do some pretty decent work standing to even make it close.
Yeah, it's not like okay, in the first 2.5 minutes, Nalo is outclassing him on the feet. Gets taken down, gets his back taken, body triangle, eating punches, defending chokes. And now it's like, okay, which is better, the stand up or the ground portion of the round? And you try to weigh it that way. This was like you said,
which is not really the way, but
pretty competitive on the feet. I'll concede there a little bit, but on the ground, I mean, this is the best offense of the fight.
I think
and
so.
It's not just one.
Well, of the round anyway. Obviously, it gets even more lopsided on the ground for Piccolotti later on, but
yeah, but I'm saying it's not even. It's not like this was a small portion of the round. This was a decent chunk of the round.
Sure, absolutely. And it's really good offense. It's really effective grappling down there. I think you have to reward that. So I feel really good about this being a Piccolotti round. I don't really love, especially that 2 judges and 2 reasonably experienced California judges in Elliot Kelly and Chris Crail saw it for Nalo. I don't see it. I don't see it like that. I think Mike Bell nailed it, getting this one to Piccolotti 10-9. So, I mean, if Mike Bell was the only one who saw it that way, what does that mean for him?
Couchside override.
Now, do we send this to California or Nevada? Because he's on the move. Can't pin him down. He's always moving around. He's at Bellator. He's at PFL.
He'll be in Jersey in a couple weeks. He can just pick it up.
He might be.
Yeah.
I don't know who's coming.
He probably is.
He could be. I don't know. I don't know who's actually licensed in Jersey. It's been a while since Jersey has had a UFC event.
You would think probably the PFL guys. Whoever did PFL in Jersey would probably be similar.
Well, that was just local.
Oh, really?
Judges. Yeah.
No, they had Dave Torelli, Eric Colon.
Where are they from?
Oh, they're from New Jersey, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. They're travelers. They're travelers. Come on.
They're traveling judges working in their own state.
Whatever.
Anyway, that was it for that fight. Yeah, I think that might be a round we'll have to revisit later on in the year potentially. So
yeah, add it to the list.
Add it to the list. That's your job.
Oh yeah.
Last round we have to talk about from Bellator was that regrettable main event, and that round one that, well, it did happen. We can confirm that 5 minutes of Daniel James and Marcelo Golm happened in the first round. At least it did end in the third round with the knockout. Nice uppercut to end it, but round one had a little less of that. What actually happened in round one?
Yeah, Golm comes out. He lands a couple good leg kicks, and then they hug each other for the rest of the round.
I thought it was really sweet.
They were like they haven't seen each other and
a weird thing to do
time.
for Golm. Golm was right in front of his wife. You could see his wife in the background too. She had the Brazilian flag around her, and all of a sudden she's just watching her husband hug this other dude. It was, I mean, look, there's all different types of marriages, right?
They threw some knees in there to simulate fighting,
mm-hmm.
but they were just hugging each other. I thought Golm mixed in some body punches along with his knees. I thought James landed a nice shot to the head at the 10-second mark.
That was a decent one.
I like Golm in a round that I despise. 10-9.
I liked James in a round that I despised.
All right.
You rewarded what happened early, and I rewarded what happened very late, and I didn't think much happened either way. So, let's fight over this.
Okay.
And by fight, I mean hug for 4 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was at least in the majority for whatever that's worth. I saw it the same as Elliot Kelly and Chris Lieben.
Judge Crippler, excuse me.
Yeah. My mistake. And you saw it the same way as Mike Bell. So
all right.
And that's it for Bellator. But again, we may be hearing from Judge Bill again. Are we actually? Yeah, we are. He's on one of these anyway. Or a couple of these. That was it for Bellator. Let's move on to PFL. We will circle back actually to Bellator in just a little bit, but for now, PFL had 4 rounds to discuss. Again, decision fest, but really good Nevada judging. I was thinking about this too, because I wasn't really watching to score all of the rounds here, but a lot of them were close enough that I could see if PFL happened to be in, I don't know, Georgia or maybe even Florida, that we're seeing a few more of these as splits. And it doesn't mean they'd be wrong, but I think the fact that the Nevada judges got on the same page so many times in this fight night it speaks volumes to the level of judging that we see when we go to Nevada. It is different.
Mm-hmm.
People can complain all they want about Sal D'Amato or Chris Lee or any judge that they just happen to hear the name of more often than other judges, but they get it right a whole lot more too. I'm very happy that they go to Nevada. Thank God.
Yeah.
And PFL will be there for the remainder of this leg of their season too. So the next couple of weeks when we talk about PFL, same deal.
Did you know one of the Fertittas was on the Nevada Athletic Commission?
When? Now?
Years ago?
Oh, I think I did know that.
I didn't know that.
No, I was pretty sure I knew that.
I had no clue.
Doesn't sound weird at all, right?
I never had a clue.
Not a conflict of interest.
I don't see one.
Anyway, PFL 1. Let's start with the only fight on the main card that actually had a split round, a contested round, if you will. Will Fleury, who got the win over Krzysztof Jotko, a split decision, 29-28 all around. It came down to who won the first. So who won the first? Talk about what happened.
Jotko lands 2 nice leg kicks right out the gate.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they had good effect.
They were nice.
And I thought he did decently well when they break from the clinch. He would land some good shots there. I do think this is a close round. I think Fleury did good work in the clinch against the cage. Kind of lower output round. Not all that much to score, but I thought what Fleury did in the clinch was enough to win himself the round. 10-9 Fleury.
I think it was the most low output round.
Wasn't a good output round.
That wasn't a high output. I mean, we've seen low output rounds.
I'd say
I wouldn't put this in the
low to mid output round.
Fair enough. Yeah, I actually felt okay giving this one to Fleury here. I think that, you're talking about some really good leg kicks from Jotko, and I think that can make it competitive enough because, does Fleury land any strikes in this round that are like, oh, that's a difference maker, Not necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
And I think maybe that's kind of is that what you're kind of playing at here?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying Jotko's offense comes when they break from the clinch, really, and then, Fleury's doing all the work in the clinch, it seems.
Sure. I gave it to Fleury. It's not the worst to go the other way for sure, but I feel okay with the Fleury score here. Same as judges Mike Bell and Adelaide Bird, and you, of course. It was Sal D'Amato who saw this one for Jotko.
Okay, fine with that.
It's all right. I think the right fighter won. Well, it will be a round, but it's from a different fight. Gabriel Braga, he stepped in, by the way, on a day's notice, Dan. I don't know if you realized that.
I did not know that.
He stepped in on a day's notice. He was like the backup, right?
Still had a better gas tank than that heavyweight fight.
Well, I mean, I probably do. That's not saying much. But anyway, Gabriel Braga got the win over Jesus Pinedo. This is another split decision. And again, 29-28 each way. 2 for Braga, 1 for Pinedo. Round 3 is our decider. Always nice when you go into the third round and there's a little more drama there. Mm-hmm. Not that anybody knows it because we don't have open scoring. But I digress. What happened in round 3?
Very competitive round. I thought Pinedo was landing his straight punches. I just didn't think they had that much steam on him. I thought Braga was landing heavier, more immediately impactful. Braga was able to block a lot of these punches, I thought. They both went good to the body, though. I think it's very close. I like it for Braga. That takedown that Kenny Florian says weighs heavy did not weigh heavy for me. That Pinedo scored, because I scored it 10-9 for Braga.
I also scored it for Braga. I do think there was at least a little bit of impact to the takedown because it kind of, it was a good trip, right?
I thought he just fell.
I thought it was a little more, but I mean, it's more about the effect from the takedown, right?
Nothing happened. It was 10 seconds after the fight. He didn't do anything.
Well, I'm not saying I flipped around. Yeah. I don't think it weighed super heavy, but I think there is at least something to score there, and not every takedown actually has, in and of itself, something to score. Well said. But yeah, so I had it for Braga. I think it's pretty competitive on the feet.
Yeah, it is.
I think it's you're getting, I think, a little bit more straight into the point shots for Braga. I think that's kind of where the cleaner shots are actually having more effect as a result.
Landing heavier. Yeah. More immediately impactful.
There you go. Leaning on the words in the criteria. So yeah, we had it the same way. Same as Sal D'Amato. Same as Brian Miner. It was Adelaide Bird who had this one for Pinedo. Yeah,
it's fine.
Makes a lot of sense. Really could have gone to either man.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Stinks though, because obviously you've got a situation where it's a super, super close fight, and one of these people gets 3 points in the PFL standing.
That's why I said if you go to this decision, you auto get a point. Like hockey, when you get a tie, you auto get a point.
Yeah, but then they go on and play in overtime.
Yeah, for 2 points. So the winner would get 3, but the loser also gets 1.
Mm-hmm. How would a shootout work in MMA? Is it become a slap fight?
Slap fight.
Oh,
That's
God.
it.
I can't believe I even said it. I knew what I was doing, and I shouldn't have done it. I regret it immediately. Anyway, 2 more rounds, sir. We're almost out of the contested rounds for this week. Ty Flores got the win over Dylan Monte. This was a unanimous decision, a 29-28 twice, and a 29-27. Let's talk about round 2. Why is this maybe a 10-8?
Well, pretty good exchanges on the feet. I thought Flores was a slight edge ahead.
They're not up there very long.
Monty, they're not. No, Monty initiates a takedown. They end up in a scramble. He ends up on his back and ends up locking in what I think looks like a pretty good armbar. But again, the camera work is just awful, showing us the back of it. Can't see how deep it is, really.
It was pretty brief, too. It didn't last.
Flores gets out right away. Eats some punches. Flores gets on top, and Monty eats some punches and a couple double axe handle smashes.
From guard.
From inside the guard. Decent shots. Not great damage. Definitely no dominance here. Not much duration. Don't see an 8. I think it's just a crystal clear 10-9.
This felt like a straight up 9.
So
it was a little weird to get an 8 out of this one. Tony Weeks was the one who gave the 8 here. Tony Weeks is interesting when you look at his data. That obviously, we track the data, and the data doesn't tell all, of course, but Tony Weeks has one of the highest percentages of being in the majority. He has a very good dissent percentage, like really high. I think he's somewhere in the 5 range or something like that, which is really good. He's in good company, somewhere in, I think, the top 10. But for whatever reason, he seems to be completely all over the map when it comes to 10-8s. For a while, he was like only giving out the 9s. And it was like, we would see like Mike Bell would give an 8. We'd see Sal D'Amato would give an 8. We'd see Tony Weeks would give a 9. And we're like, what are you looking for, Tony? And now it's like the other way around. For whatever reason, you just can't seem to get on the same page about the 8s. It's the weird thing that I've noticed about him. But, I mean, it's not like he's a bad judge. It just seems like he is miscalibrated with these 8s and 9s.
And he did a great job in that Creed 3 main event.
Terrific refereeing.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But I think we're going to add this one to the list.
It's definitely one we'll have to revisit a little later. Yeah, I think so. It's a very strange one. Straight up 9. Mike Bell and Junichiro Kamijo, they had the 9 like we did. I think that's the right score. I feel good about that one.
Yeah, I like a 9.
I think it'd be hard to find someone else who's giving it 8 here, to be honest. But I mean, let's face it, it doesn't make a large difference in the grand.
Not really, no.
One more, sir. Impa Kasanganay got the win over Corey Hendricks. Unanimous decision, 29-28, 2 times, and a 30-27, which means someone thought he got the 3rd round as well. What happened in the 3rd round?
Well, it's a sloppy round for sure. A whole bunch of hugging, and I think Kasanganay probably landed the heavier strikes when they were separated. Hendricks landed some as well. Good body kick and an uppercut. I think Hendricks could have taken it. All he had to do was land some ground and pound when he got that top turtle position and not lose the position. Because, I mean, up to that point, it was close. I mean, he could have put a stamp on the round, but, he couldn't keep the position. He got reversed, and I thought Kasanganay landed a little bit there. So I'm 10-9 Kasanganay.
No, I went the other way. I went for Hendricks, but I don't think there's a crazy amount in this round that's worth scoring anyway, so I don't feel passionately about it in any way. Not at all. And I'm more passionate about the last round being a 9. This one, it's whatever. But I saw it the same way in the majority as Junichiro Kamijo and Tony Weeks. See, I'm with Tony now. I think he's got it. And then you had it the same way as Sal D'Amato, who, as everybody knows, he should be fired. He's the worst judge ever, right? April Fools.
Oh, that's the worst holiday of all time, is April Fools.
So this morning, because we're recording this, well, it's really Sunday at this point, but we're recording this on ostensibly Saturday. And my kids, getting them ready for the day. They wake up way too early. I don't know why they do this, but getting them ready for the day. And my oldest is like, it's some other day today too. He was like trying to hint at me. And I was like, oh no, that they canceled that holiday.
It's good parenting.
He's like, really? Like, and I go, April Fools. And he liked it.
Okay.
Because,
I did not like it.
You didn't
but
like
I'm
that?
glad he liked it.
But you get it, right? It was a joke.
I get it. Yeah, ha.
He's like, can they really cancel it? I'm like, I mean, anyone can cancel anything, I guess. But,
I canceled April Fools.
You did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go on Twitter. It's nothing but April Fool's jokes.
This is true.
This guy broke their leg
Oh,
out of the fight.
yeah.
Okay, great. Ha ha ha.
Mm-hmm.
And then you come across the real story, like the one that's like, no, this guy really did break his leg and he's out.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're like, I still don't believe you.
Maybe the PFL fights were all a joke. Maybe they didn't actually happen.
They might not have.
This is a well choreographed joke. By the way, we were told
Maybe Tony Weeks was like 10-8 April Fools.
maybe that was what it was. They were all the talk about on social media for the last few weeks is like, oh yeah, all the blue checks are gonna lose their blue checks unless they give.
I thought it's April 15th is when
April,
they lose it.
I thought it was April 1st.
No, I thought it was the 15th is what
Oh,
Elon's
was it?
tweet was.
Oh, I thought it was the 1st. That's why I was like looking today, and I'm like, I still have a check. I'm not giving the money though. How do I still have this?
Yeah, I think it's the 15th.
Okay. First of all, I don't care one way or the other if I lose the check or not. I think it'd be annoying if maybe some news breakers, like big news breakers, don't get the checks, and then we start having people like wonder who the real person is again. Like, damn it, that's how fake news spreads.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, no, but
I could take it a little
But
bit.
you're not going to get you. Apparently, if you don't have a check, the For You page is useless.
Right.
You can't be discovered.
Yeah.
Basically.
But that's okay because I don't want to use the For You. At least for me.
I never used it for. I just use Follow You.
I accidentally end up in the For You page a lot. I feel like they do that on purpose, and it bothers me because I'll be looking through and I'm like, I don't follow this person. But this is interesting. And then I'll look at it and be like, oh, it's For You. I don't want to follow, so I'm going to move away. Like I was interested in what they had to say, but I'm like, no, I was made to see you. I say no. But anyway, that is it for, we're kind of off topic. That is it for contested rounds. We do have one more round to discuss though, because the 10-7 watch is back.
Yeah.
Let's head on back to Bellator. On the prelims, Bryce Meredith got a second round rear naked choke submission of Brandon Carrillo. But round one was a big round for him in which he got unanimous 10-8s. So the question we have is, should judges Salim Hanif, Chris Lieben, and Mike Bell considered a 10-7? Why don't we talk just a little bit what happened here? Like, or maybe why or why not? Whatever you want to say.
Well, he's got all 3 Ds easy.
Mm-hmm.
He's on the back basically the entire round. I just don't see an overwhelming damage there. There's good damage. It's just not 10-7 level.
But you think we have the overwhelming dominance and duration?
I don't think we have overwhelming anything.
You don't think so?
Maybe overwhelming duration.
I think we have
Possibly.
the 2 Ds of overwhelming, but we are lacking the damage one. I think there's good damage. I think there's 10-8 level damage, but it does not get to the point where it's like uncomfortable almost, where you're kind of like, man, how's this guy surviving? We're not here. It's just good offense, real good, solid offense, not answered in any way. Felt like the right thing here was a really strong 10-8, and I think that's what we got from these 3 judges. So.
Salim, Crippler, and Mike.
So, yes, Judge Crippler, my mistake. That's going to take a while for me to get used to. You keep me honest.
I will.
Thank you. But yeah, so is this a 10-7? No, I agree. And that was it. We have, of course, finishes. A lot from Bellator, a few from PFL, 11 again from Bellator. It was 4 by KO or TKO, 7 submissions, and 7 of these ended in the first round. PFL, only 3 finishes. One of them was a TKO. 2 by submission. 2 of the fights ended in round 1. And by the way, this continues that trend that we've seen of more submissions than strike-based finishes at both of these events, especially at the Bellator, because it's 7 subs. This is wild.
It's amazing.
I can't believe it's happening.
Awesome.
Like, it is awesome.
Thank God they actually finished the fight.
I still have no belief that this is going to keep up, and I feel like at some point we're just going to it's going to be knockout, and it'll completely surpass it. But man, maybe
quarter of the way through.
At some point, I'm going to have to start taking seriously that maybe there's actual change.
I know, there is. People are subbing people. That's why people want to get rid of the grappling portion of MMA and just go to kickboxing.
No.
Because if you get a quick sub, that wasn't by skill. It just happened to be by luck. And the fight should be over. Or shouldn't be over. You just get a point.
That's right.
You just get a point.
You get a point. The fight continues. And maybe in the later stages it can end a fight, right?
Yeah.
Is that what that crazy person was saying?
The dumbest thing.
Did we ever fully discuss that?
We did, but it just angers me more. It's just so stupid. What a stupid suggestion. That should never be tabled. We should never have this discussion. I should not be talking about this right now. It's 4 o'clock in the morning.
It's 4:01. Yeah.
Anyway, My favorite.
Yeah, what was your favorite? We had 14 finishes. Which one was your favorite?
Sarah Collins key locking Pam Sorensen.
Yes, not Sam Hermanson.
Key locking her with her legs from the scarf hold position. Nasty.
Yeah, it was. And you took umbrage with the designation that I saw.
I don't want to see it called the scarf hold arm lock. That's just stupid. Like I agree to compromise. We'll call it a key lock.
Fair enough.
But your favorite?
My favorite actually was a knockout. As I tend to do, I usually pick a sub and I'll just pick a knockout and kind of just balance it out, I guess. But we didn't have too many of those. So clean, big knockout from Vladimir Tokov of Lance Gibson Jr. Only took 62 seconds, but Tokov, he knocks him down real good to start.
With a jab.
With a jab. And Gibson's, he's definitely in trouble, right? He's rocked. He's on the ground. He's not doing well. Tokov very quickly pounces on him, and it's the follow-up shots that just put Gibson down. I mean, it was harsh.
The right hand right after he hits the deck, it's like, okay, that was big.
And all this happens in the space of like a second and a half or 2 seconds. The referee, I forget who the ref was in this particular instance, but the referee reacts about as fast as you kind of could. This is not a case where I'm saying, it should have been waved off. It's just like, damn, that happened quick and hard and harsh, and it was over. Really good knockout by Tokov. Really impressive win. So yeah, I like that one. But I mean, again, we could talk. There were so many finishes, but I think we got to move on to this coming weekend, it's another busy weekend, man. I don't know how much time we'll have to go over everything. Yeah, it's 2 events, but one of them is a UFC pay-per-view.
With a lot of good fights.
Yeah, it's I knocked down a ton on our little list here. But before that, on Friday night, PFL once again is back. I have PFL 1 here. It's actually PFL 2 because this was PFL 1 we just talked about. Friday night, 10 p.m. Eastern time, main card. We have women's featherweight. Lightweight is gone. They have done away with lightweight because Kayla Harrison is no longer a part of it. They have no more need to make up a weight class.
What's happened with Kayla?
She is in the pay-per-view division.
Oh, my bad.
She's just doing the super fights.
Okay.
Yeah.
The pay-per-view division.
Pay-per-view, I believe it's called the pay-per-view super fight division or something.
So she's never on the opening card.
No, she's never on the opening card. Yes. They don't call it the prelims on ESPN. When you want to go back and watch PFL, you don't find the prelims. You find the opening card. That's the terminology PFL has gone with. Which, all right, whatever. Anyway, so women's featherweight and heavyweight.
Sounds awesome.
Let's go. Yeah, there's some fights happening. Larissa Pacheco, the reigning champion at 155, awesome. Is now coming back down to 45. She missed weight at 155 at one point, so I hope she'll do okay. Well, getting down to 45s.
That's what I was just thinking when you told me they got rid of 150. I thought she was just doing the 145 to be the first 2-division $1 million winner.
No. No, I think she's just still part of the
season
format.
I remember because Kayla had her number.
She did, yeah.
And then she took the time to put on size and muscle to make 155 to compete with Kayla.
Pacheco, you did.
Yeah. And she beats her. Now she has to go back to 145. That's a concern there, the weight.
But she also doesn't have Kayla Harrison in her way anymore, and she has run through everybody else that PFL has put in front of her, except for Kayla Harrison. That's at least been competitive, if nothing else. This one against Julia Budd, though, I like it. I mean, she's a former Bellator champion. She did not have the greatest showing last year in her first season with PFL, but I wouldn't count her out. I like this fight, actually. One of the better fights I think you can actually put together at 145 pounds across any of the 3 promotions that have women's featherweight, which is improbable because I can't believe we have enough for one promotion to do a women's featherweight division, and yet they're spread across 3. It would be great if they were conglomerated somewhere, anywhere, wherever pays them the best, but here we are. But yeah, I'm interested enough in that fight. And then there's the top heavyweight fight, which is just under that one because that's the main event. Bruno Capolozza, not the reigning champion, but the previous season champion, is going against Mateus Scheffel. Unfortunately, we don't have Ante D'Elia. Ante D'Elia had to pull out.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, reigning champion. I don't know if he's coming back this season at all. I don't know if he's just out, but that's a disappointing
He was fun in person. His people went insane for him.
Good for him, right? But yeah, Capolozza, unfortunately, he got hurt last year too, so his kind of run was cut short just by injury. So, be good to see him back. The other, and this, by the way, like we mentioned, is Nevada. as PFL's first leg will be. I don't know where their second leg is. I forget if they've
I heard they're
announced it or
going
not.
back to Atlanta.
Is that right? That's unfortunate. I mean, you
Well,
know,
you got Derek Cleary.
look, if he stays in town, I mean, he missed 2 of them the last time. He was only there one of them, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Derek Cleary needs to anchor himself to Georgia and then bring in some friends, please. Anyway, so the Nevada judges, I think we'll get some good judging once again. Hopefully we won't need it. There's a lot of heavyweights here and, you know, women's featherweight. You never know. It could be more likely or maybe just a bunch of decisions like we often do get from PFL. But there is one other fight in this weight class I am looking forward to, the women's weight class here, and that is Aspen Ladd making her her PFL debut from UFC against Elena Kolesnik, and at 145 pounds, which is where she should have been all along, because she can't make 35.
Mm-hmm.
So
this is her second PFL
I'm
fight,
happy
right?
for her.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's her second PFL fight. She won her first, her short debut, which is a non-season
Split
fight.
decision, that was, yeah.
I believe so. I'm not ready to say Aspen Ladd is going to make a run. I thought she had some potential for a little while. She's definitely gotten derailed, but, you know, maybe this is a fresh start for her, and at 145, maybe she can really make a run, and gosh, it could end up being the best thing that ever happened to her was getting out of the UFC.
Yeah, but I'm saying this. I'm saying if it's Pacheco and Ladd in the finals of this, just make it 155.
I get it
for that. Yeah.
Hey, I mean, I'm all up for not in weight, because I don't get the sense Aspen Ladd has a hard time making 45.
I'm just saying.
Pacheco
Don't
might.
make it.
Pacheco certainly might, but that certainly would give an edge to Pacheco if they put it that way, because she would be bigger. Yeah, it's not going to happen anyway.
Okay.
Neither are elbows.
Unfortunately.
I know.
My favorite thing, Tyron Woodley was one of the Challenger Series guest judges, and he's like, I'd like to see more elbows in this position.
So would we.
So would all of us.
Everybody would.
Unfortunately, they had to correct him. Say, no, we don't allow elbows. And he was like,
oh, that sucks.
Okay.
Weirdos. But much more interesting than that PFL card, which is fine for what it is UFC 287. It's not like a 2 title fight card, right? Sometimes we got 2-3 title fights here. We're anchored by one title fight, which I think is super fascinating, and that is the rematch or tetralogy.
Quadrilogy, yeah. Usually you don't get a quadrilogy if the one guy's 0-3.
It's usually just that. Yeah, it's usually just over at that point.
Yeah.
That here we are. We have a tetralogy or rematch, depending on how your perspective here. Alex Pereira defending his newly minted UFC middleweight title against the man he took it from, Israel Adesanya, who he has now beaten, like we said, twice in kickboxing and once in MMA. It is an improbable situation here, but it's the only one that really does make sense. You got to give Adesanya a second chance, right?
Yeah. I mean, this is twice now that he was kind of...
Or a fourth chance, like I said.
This is twice now where he was kind of going to win and then gets finished late.
Against the same man.
Against the same guy, yeah. So I wonder if that's something in his head. Like, if we get to the 5th round, do we see a different strategy from Izzy? Does he try to stay away?
I think
if he thinks he's ahead.
The thing about Adesanya is I think he's really self-assured, but also like there's no way you can walk into a fight with the same guy the 4th time after he's knocked you out twice and say, I'm definitely like, there's nothing in my head here. There's absolutely going to be something in his head there. If he can get past it, and I wouldn't rule it out, I mean, that would be just impressive that he finally got it done.
Like he wins a decision. Do they do a 5th?
I think they probably have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, but Pereira, I was talking to Pereira last week, and Pereira, it's late. Like I said, 4:11. Sun's almost up. It's not quite, but I was talking to him. I interviewed him last week, and I asked him, say you win. We ever going to see this fight again? He's like, no, I'm done.
Oh, if Pereira wins.
Yeah.
I would have to.
There's not a
there.
circumstance in which he would.
I'd have to agree with that.
So pretty much at that point, you would have to see Adesanya decide to do something different with himself. Probably move to 205 or something. Just put on weight and go there.
Yeah.
And then we'd see Pereira follow him up. Because that's what he does. He basically just decided to try UFC because of Adesanya, and then all of a sudden he goes out and wins the title from him. It was ridiculous. I can't believe it. Remarkable. But I'm looking forward to this fight. I'm like, obviously, Pereira could win like 5 or 6 of these, and everyone's still going to favor Adesanya here on the odds.
I wonder what the line is on this.
Yeah.
It's probably interesting.
I don't know if you're betting fights anymore, but this seems like one that would be interesting.
No.
Okay.
But
Well, if any of our listeners are the type to put a little action out there, I feel like are you pulling up the odds?
I'm looking it up.
Yeah, I feel like there's got to be. I remember seeing it somewhere in the plus 200ish range for Pereira. I feel like you'd have to look at something like that. And I'm not a bettor, but it sure sounds like something you'd have to think about.
Let's find the UFC. Here we go.
This is in Florida, I should mention, by the way. So the judging, they'll bring in some outside judges. They also got some of their local judges they like to use, like Troy Winkapaw.
Are you going to count Chris Lee as a local there, too?
I mean, he is local. He's absolutely local, but he travels, too.
Yeah. All right, so Pereira is plus 120. Izzy is minus 140.
So it's much closer now. I think the odds tightened. I could
At
swear
some point, they have to.
I mean, sure, but I thought that would have happened with Volkanovski and Islam, but it didn't.
Do you think Izzy tries to wrestle more?
I think it'd be interesting if he mixed it in a lot more. I think he really should lean on that experience in MMA a little bit more than he did, and it worked when he tried. But we'll see. Hey, maybe Pereira will do the same. Maybe he'll throw a surprise out there,
Yeah.
I'm curious to see it. That's why I like this fight. It's actually fascinating to me, despite the fact that we've seen the same thing happen 3 times. Same thing in different ways. Same result, different path. Yeah, I think the judging should be okay. Sometimes we get a little funnier scores, I guess, in Florida, but it's not like the worst place by any stretch.
No.
But I love a lot of these fights, man. It's a deep, deep, deep card. Just to run down the main card: Gilbert Burns against Jorge Masvidal, Rob Font against Adrian Yanez, Kevin Holland, against Santiago Ponzinibbio, and Raul Rosas Jr. against Christian Rodriguez. Now,
that's the one champ, right? Christian Rodriguez, or no? I think
you're thinking of Christian Lee.
Okay,
very different people.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's the only fight on here that I look at and I'm like, well, that's obviously only on here because of the recognition we have from Raul Rosas being, what is he now? Is he
might
18
be 19
yet?
now?
Is he?
No, he's got to be 18 because he was 17 on the contender.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Is he 17 or 18? I don't remember.
18.
Okay, well that's good. At least he can. I don't know what can you do at 18 now?
You can drive without a curfew.
Well, that's in Jersey.
In New
different
Jersey,
states.
Yeah. Okay.
And I don't know where he's from. But yeah, that's the one that sticks out. But even that, I'm interested enough in the kid because there is too much hype. It's like I can't ignore it. So there's that. But even underneath it, man, Kelvin Gastelum and Chris Curtis, I like that fight. Gerald Meerschaert and Joe Pyfer, I know you like that one.
Joe Pyfer, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I love Gerald Meerschaert.
Someone pointed out that Joe Pyfer has a really long neck. And that is right for the taking for someone like Gerald Meerschaert. So that is something to watch.
3rd round sub, Gerald Meerschaert.
Yeah, probably would be. 3rd round. Cynthia Calvillo and Lupita Godinez. I like that one too. Lupita, you gotta like Lupi. She's always very active.
Good.
Yeah. And Calvillo is no joke too. Back at 115. Michael Chiesa may still be on this card. We don't know, but right now he's lined up with the dreaded TBD.
The TBD, man.
TBD. Because Li Jingliang unfortunately had to pull out. That would have been a good fight.
Leach got to pull out.
Yeah. Unfortunate.
I'm excited for Bahamondes in this card.
Who's Ignacio Bahamondes, right?
Yeah.
Bahamondes, right? Who's he fighting?
He is fighting Trey Ogden.
Okay.
So
pretty much there's almost no weeks. This is a really deep card. I think it's got sleeper.
Is
fight
that
of the
Sam
year
Hughes?
potential.
Sam Hughes is Sam Page, right?
Is that what her nickname is?
I think that's what her nickname is. Yeah, Sam Page.
Sam Page.
So I thought she was on a decent. No, she was on an okay streak, and then she lost.
I wonder if her middle name is actually Page. Sam Page. That'd be something.
It might be.
It's probably not though.
It's not.
No.
But it might be.
Is it Sam Sorensen or Hermanson? Her middle name is Hermanson.
Oh boy.
Oh man, that's an in joke. No one else should find funny. But this is I really
Waterson's
do like
also
this
on
card
too.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah,
very astute.
That's it.
Who's she fighting?
Luana Pinheiro.
Okay, yeah.
I love.
I believe it's Michelle Waterson Gomez now.
Okay,
she hyphenates now
on the main card.
Yeah. What about it?
Which
one do you like the best? You like that one?
The co-main is one I like the least.
That's what I was going to say. I know you're not a big fan of
I think it's
opportunities Masvidal.
I don't think it's I think it's a lopsided matchup.
Okay.
Maybe Jorge will prove me wrong.
I think it's got potential to be a lot of fun. That's what I like about it.
It depends.
Mm-hmm.
It depends. Depends if Burns decides to let Jorge hang around for a while before getting taken down.
Burns is a violent man. He can end it in a lot of ways.
And taking him down and beating him up.
Mm-hmm.
I think Rob Font Yanez should be awesome. I think Kevin Holland and Santiago Ponzinibbio should be awesome.
That's my pick for fight of the night, actually.
Like that should be awesome.
That's my fight of the night pick.
And I'm excited for Raul Rosas because all the hype behind him. I'd like
Sure.
to see what the kid can do again.
Absolutely.
And hopefully Kelvin Gastelum makes it to fight night this time.
Yeah, we'll see.
Without that thing he had on his face or whatever.
What thing he had? On his
Staph
face?
infection or
Oh,
something.
okay, that's right. It was something I couldn't remember. I was gonna say his nose.
He was like missing a tooth. He's like, yeah, I'm out. And he just posted a picture of him smiling.
These things happen
Yeah.
in MMA.
All right. We'll be back again on Monday. Break down all these fights from...
At least UFC. We'll figure
Mostly
out how many
UFC.
from PFL.
yeah. We'll see
Depends
what
how many we
PFL.
get on each, right?
Yeah, we'll see. Are they both on the same night? I forget.
No,
what
no,
you
no.
said.
Friday
No.
and Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah. They stagger them.
Sounds good.
We'll have to be on our game and watch the Friday
Yeah.
night ones on Friday night, I think.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks for listening.
Take care, everybody. Have a great week.